not something you see every day. A 1948 Peugeot 202 coming in on the tow truck. That's pretty crazy. Okay, things have settled down a little bit. The rain has passed. Stella is comfortable in her box of giveaway clothes to Goodwill. She just gave me a yawn. That means she's very happy. And what are we working on today? We cleared out an Isetta that was parked here for a long time, which felt really good to get that back into the owner's hands. So we're moving on. The next victim has arrived, and you guys may or may not know what this is. I'm actually a little befuddled. I've never seen one of these before. It's a 1948 Peugeot 202, and the customer really loves this thing, and we're trying to bring it back. See if we can fix it up a little bit. The mirror is going to fall off. Suicide doors. A racing seat, which I think is just kind of temporary. Really a neat old car. We're going to dig into this. If you guys follow along, it's kind of a tease here for what is to come. Really neat old French car. I believe it is 1100 cc's. Let's open the hood here. Cool waterfall grille with hideaway headlights and just a really neat silhouette. Let's just back up and drink this in a little bit, shall we? Looks very neat. Again, it's a 1948 Peugeot 202. And we'll open this hood, take a look at the engine. The battery is like way up front. Headlights up against the radiator. Radiator, 4-cylinder, 4-stroke. I believe it's 1100 cc's. I'm going to turn the light on. There's a fuel pump down there, distributor, carburetor. I think it runs. I don't think it'll take much to get it running, but the brakes are an issue. They're all locked up and stuck and it's probably leaking. This has the Citroen and or Dauphine wheels, basically the Renault or the Citroens or the apparently Peugeot all use the same wheels, all same tires. Stella, you come over here to say hi? No, scared. 145R Michelin X's. So I believe those are like 15s or 16s. I think they're 15s. All right, let's get into this car. Let's make it work. Let's make some noise. Let's make things happen. No use standing around yapping our yapper. We're missing the fender skirt on the back there. He says he has it. But I think he wants to get this car going and then possibly put it up for sale. So the jets are going to fly overhead. You won't be able to hear me soon. So I'm going to knock off right here and probably do an outro by petting my dog. Oh, that's a good puppy. You're a good puppy dog. You like those jets? They're very loud. All right. Hey there. Welcome back to the best YouTube channel on the internet. I try to produce or publish a video once a day, and I think there's 3,000 videos you can enjoy. Today, we're going to do something a little different. We're going to look at the underside of a 1948 Peugeot 202. Very rare car, first one I've seen. And you can see I've got all the wheels and tires on the floor. These are the old Michelin numeric size in metric. So they're 145 R400s. I don't know if that equates to 15.5 inches, but they're correct, but they're an odd size. One other side note is these wheels, these 3-bolt wheels that you're seeing here that go on the car, seem to be very similar to the Renault Dauphine and or the Citroen 2CV, and this car of course is a Peugeot. The difference that I see is these little slots here. Maybe that's a Peugeot thing, but it looks like the hubcaps would bolt on the same lug pattern. I could be wrong on the lug pattern. Maybe they're spaced a little differently, but let's get into the car. A lot of you guys have wanted to know a little bit more about an elderly Peugeot, so let's get into what makes this thing tick. It's really interesting. Let's start with the rear suspension and the shocks. They have what are like Armstrong lever action shocks. You can see the lever here that goes to the rear axle. The rear axle is solid type. In other words, it's a fixed rear axle. There is a spring, a leaf spring or half leaf spring on each side. You can see the spring goes from the linkage on the axle to the body. Half spring there, half spring on this side. And what do we got here? A sock hanging down. I didn't notice that before. Not sure why that's there. Probably from the person that owns the car who was working on it. Torque tube rear axle, torque tube drive line, excuse me, that goes into a very special rear pinion gear of some type. It looks like it connects here. Maybe the axle goes, or the drive line goes through and then turns the ring gear there. I was told to check the oil in it. There's a lot of things that predate me on this car. This car is a 1948. I'm a product of the 60s, so very interesting. We've got relief tube for, I'm assuming if the axle seal starts to leak, it comes out this tube. Axle flanges there. We have a wheel cylinder here at the top with an unusual type of bleeder screw. We have brake adjustments here. On the other side, up in here where my finger's touching, and also down here at the anchor points. E-brake cable comes in through the side, and it looks like it's leaking some oil. The main reason this car is up on the lift and the wheels are off is all the wheels are seized. It can't roll the car. The brake pedal is firm, but there's an issue with the brakes, and we got to figure that out. So we're doing a quick overview, or I should say underview of the car. Our gas tank is located in the back here. The fill tube for the gas tank is right there above that one amber taillight. And let's just take a look at this ancient Peugeot. So we've got our torque tube rear drive line. It's encased in a tube. It's a solid tube. It goes right up to the transmission, and no flex coupling there at all from what I can see. Our e-brake is basically off of this big clamp system. Looks like it pulls these cables. Our exhaust system is just a simple resonator. The brake line that goes to the rear is actually clamped directly to the torque tube, which is unusual. And this looks like an original brake hose, which I'm not happy about that. It feels soft and gooey. Let's keep going here. What do we got here? We got a pedal. This must be the clutch pedal that comes through the body, goes under the frame, and then connects to a linkage. It's all mechanical, but then goes up to the clutch. That's our clutch adjustment. Appears that there is a hydraulic portion to this. That doesn't make sense. Is that the brake? Oh, the clutch and the brake. Are they the same? Oh, okay, I see. The brake rod comes down from here. This is a shared trunnion. That is our brake master cylinder, and the clutch goes up to a mechanical rod. We have a road draft tube under our 4-cylinder engine. It's 1100 cc's, huge starter. That is the starter there in the side. Then we are looking at the Armstrong shocks for the front suspension. The front suspension is a cross, I guess you'd call it a trans axle, or not trans spring, stack of springs that goes transverse for the front suspension. Oh, it's just crazy. Kingpins, control arms. Looks like this brake hose has been replaced. Again, we've got drum brakes on the front. I got these loosened up. Neat Peugeot scribed on the covers that cover up the bearings. The bearing covers. Again, it is a rear wheel drive, not front wheel drive, so there shouldn't be any splines in there. The steering box is really neat because the headlights are all switched off of the center of the steering, so there's a big electrical component on the end of the steering box. Steering box bolts directly to the frame, as does all the steering components. Very unique. Battery is located well up front. It's got wood strapped to it. Very, very cool. Can't wait to get in this car a little bit more and see what makes it tick. You can see the front crankshaft area there, and also the starting rod. You can shove your rod through there and give her a crank to start the engine if the battery's dead. Hand-painted license plate on the old bumper. Really, some really cool details. Again, the bearing covers are really neatly labeled with Peugeot. Frame appears to be not rusty. Car is not rusty at all, which is fantastic. What a neat old car. I'm looking up the exhaust pipe there. I'm seeing that there's one bolt that's missing from the exhaust manifolds, probably leaking. We've got a lot to do. There's the water drain for the block. Really neat old details on this thing. It appears this car was hand painted. I see brush strokes all along here, common in the day to keep it from rusting. Here's our stone guards. We have fender skirts to go over here. Really a neat old car. So follow along and we'll dig into this thing and see if we can get her to run and drive. This is the first time I've gotten to take a look at it, and I'm sorry if I'm not all knowledgeable. This is a car I've never seen before. It's pretty neat to see that. This thing is still alive after many years. It's almost a 100-year-old car. Is it 80 years old, something like that? Pretty neat. Peugeot 202. Okay, so I used my handy puller and the lug nuts, the 3 lug nuts for the drum, to pull off the drum, and you can see that there is a sealed roller bearing on the outside and some type of a roller bearing on the inside. However, if I wipe my fingers on the drum surface, I'm getting wetness, which, even though these brakes look like they were replaced not too long ago, I'm afraid that they are leaking. If I pull back the seal, I can get my fingernails in there. You can see how wet it is and dripping. That's just going to soak our shoes, which our shoes are not, I don't know what kind of material that is. It's probably asbestos, but some type of, I don't know, friction material. That's not going to work. We got to put new seals in, keep these things from leaking. That's a bummer, because I think those are fairly new, but probably just sat around old for a while, and just the seals have shrunk. There's Stella, my shop dog, on her little bed there in the corner of the shop, and we are going to pull this drum off. Hopefully in one piece. This is a tight one. Oh, that does not feel right. Oh, it does not feel good. Okay, so we're still working on our Peugeot 202. We've got the shoes hanging off of the adjusters here. We got the wheel cylinder disconnected. I'm having trouble getting this hose off, so I had to take the wheel cylinder off. It was completely packed with rust. Even though it doesn't look that old, it was completely seized. All the parts are down here in my bin. You can see how rusted the pistons were. Completely rusted. Solid. Has huge bleeder screws, which are, you can't put a hose on. There's no nipple. You just crack it. I've never seen that kind before. 1 1/8. And I'm going to have to, well, I took my wire brush on a drill and I cleaned out the bore to see if there's any big pits. I think it's going to be okay. I think I can reuse this. That's the best I can do for now. But I do have some new hoses. Luckily, I've got these massive, and they are massive. Let me show you. They look like hydraulic lines. Look at the end of that hose. It's really unusual. So we're going to put these on and see if we can make this guy's day a lot better. We're going to take this off, put it in the vise, see if we can get this old soft hose off and get this car stopping. Hey, welcome back everyone. Welcome back to the Two-Stroke Turbo channel. Coming back to you from the inside of the shop, and what's inside the shop today but an old French car. Oui, oui, monsieur. We like French cars. And we have, of course, taken on something that someone else has assumed is good, but not so much. Not so much. Rebuilt the wheel cylinders for the front here. Got all the shoes cleaned up, and these are a very interesting type of shoe. Some type of, I don't know, fabric? I'm sure it's asbestos of some type. Got it all cleaned up. Got the new wheel cylinders on, like I said. The hose here, it's got some cracks in it. This is an original 70-year-old brake hose. I think I'm going to take that over to the hydraulic shop and get that rebuilt. It checks out. It's free flowing, but I don't trust it. Same thing here on the driver's side. Rebuilt wheel cylinder, new wheel seals, 1 1/8 inch cups, and a new brake hose, which somebody else supplied, which is nice. And cleaned up the linings. We have the long lining on the front and the wedge lining, or the duo servo lining, on the back. The rear is another story. Super messy back here. I'm in the process of trying to hone out these wheel cylinders with my 3M pad. It actually seems like it's not too bad in there. Well, a little bit of pitting right there. See if I can keep working on that. The pistons were completely rusted. You got to be very careful. You don't want to dent them or ding them. Clean them up. So we're doing the best we can. Same thing, trying to clean up all the grease and oil in these somewhat new shoes. This side I have not touched yet, and I expect it's going to be bad, because I mean, there's just, show you the rust in here. I mean, it's going to be nasty, just like the rest of them. Boy, if only there was something to make me feel better than working on an old French car. What would that be? Oh, Stella, my shop dog, getting warm in the sun. Hey, Stella, you gonna let me rub your belly? Yeah, you're a good dog. My therapy dog. The amount of rust in these wheel cylinders is insane. Completely seized. I hope I can clean that out. All right, good morning, two-stroke turbo fans. You can see Stella, my shop dog, out here warming her belly again on a nice fall day. It's going to be 70 degrees today. That's really nice. No more rain, thank goodness. What are we doing in the shop today? Follow me, walk with me, come on in. Let's see what's going on here. We've got the blue van in the shop. The clutch is starting to slip. I have towed with this van. You can see the hitch cover's on right now, but I think I may have burnt the clutch up. It's about 5-year-old clutch, I guess, but I've towed some heavy loads, probably way more than any towing capacity of a Subaru 360 was ever supposed to have. So it's not the clutch's fault. So we've got a new clutch for that, but we've been knocking our knees and trying to get this thing in some reasonable state. The brakes were awful, as I showed you yesterday. We got everything de-rusted. The cylinders are honed the best I can. There's a little bit of pitting in them. Put in new seals, new dust boots, new springs, rebuilt them, cleaned all the shoes, and now I'm draining the oil out of the diff. And I have never seen such, turn the light on here, thick oil. Look at this. Look at this goo. It is just sludgy sludge. I mean, it's 110. What is it? 110 straight. It's a crazy oil I've never dealt with before. But it needs to come out, and we need to put some new oil in it. So we're doing that, and we got to get this thing running. So I got to get it back down on the ground. I'm waiting for a brake hose to get rebuilt. I couldn't live with this hose that went from this pipe to here, the flex hose. It was just too, it was 70 years old, and it was starting to crack. And this one over here has been replaced not too long ago. It looks pretty good. And then I replaced the other one right here. So I'm happy with those, but that one, no bueno. couldn't let it go. So they had to order parts, and it's going to take 3 or 4 days for me to get that hose back. So I got to put the wheels back on. I'm going to get this thing on the ground, and let's see if we can fire it up. I am concerned about that. It's got a broken exhaust stud. I think the only way to fix that is to get the manifold off and extract the broken bolt and dig it out. But let's see if we can get this thing down, get some new oil in the diff, and get the wheels back on it, and see if we can get it to fire up. Okay? Sound like a plan? Man? Oh, this is just slimiest stuff. That stuff is just, oh, look at that. All right, so the differential has finally stopped dripping into our pan, and I suspect that the car's out of gas. It's been sitting for a long time. I don't think it's got any fuel in it, so we're going to put some in there. Everybody loves gas, right? Goiggle, goiggle, goiggle. So hopefully it doesn't. Hey, Stella, where are you going? We're putting gas in the car. Hey, we're going to fire this up, Stell. So we're going to put some gas in here. As I was saying, I hope it doesn't just run out the bottom. So far, so good. Filled up our gas tank. Let's put our gas cap back on. That is a crazy gas cap. And let's move up here to the front. Let's take a look at the carburetor. Oh, I recognize this carburetor, same as a Dauphine. What kind of an air filter is that? I think we can shoot some starting fluid down there and help this thing, as well as it probably has a tickler. Does it have a tickler? Got a fuel pump. Does it have a tickler and a fuel pump? No, it does not. Or does it? Oh, it does on the bottom. Here it is. Oh, look at that. Pulling fuel. Can you see it right there in the... It's working great, actually. Oh, it's solid. That's probably all we need. Oh, what do we got to do to start this up? Oh, right, I got to move that hood or that fender skirt. Okay, we've established that we have fuel. Let's check the oil. Wait a minute. Let's check the coil wire. That does not go in there. It's just barely. Oh, something's not right there. I've got to fix that. That doesn't go into the center post like it should. Got any oil in it? Yeah, it's got some oil in it. Might be a little low. This is a crazy engine. Okay, how do we check the coolant? Assuming this is how you check it. Ooh, I do not want to break that off. Okay, so I fixed the coil wire. It's now solid, or is it? Solider. At least it goes in all the way. Oil's good. I did use my wrench on the coolant. That is one solid brass. It's got coolant in there. Some type of a sensor too. There's also a sensor in the hose right here. Mechanical sensor, I believe. And what else? Oh, there's a choke on the carburetor here. It looks like the choke is on. Choke on? Choke off. Not sure. I have to get in there and see. Okay, I got the door open. This is the first time I've actually been inside the car to try to start it. The suicide door. Get my big old boots in here. Okay. What are we looking at? Crazy. Okay, I think that's choke. Yeah, okay, that's choke. So the choke is out. Starter. Isn't that the contact? Battery dead? Jeez. The battery's dead. Yeah, battery's dead. Let's fix that. Gotta hook up the battery, that's the problem. Got some sparkles. Okay. Now we're talking. Okay, let's get back in here. Not the easiest car to get in and out of, especially quickly. Okay, all right, now we got a light on the dash. That is our contactor. Okay. Okay. Whoa, that is a lot of throw on the shifter per second. Way. And the knob is very spinny. I don't like that. Whoa, that is very wiggly. Okay, we're not gonna touch the brakes because we have no brake pressure. Clutch seems like there's something there. Gas pedal. Okay, so we got contactor. Push that in. Starter. Choke. I think we should see what happens here. Push, push, pull. Do I push or pull? Oh boy. Well, am I being... What's that? How do you get this thing to start? Is that the right one? Let me think about this. Okay, you just gotta pull a little harder, I think. Oh, it's running. Gotta have the choke on. What do we got here? What is that? Oil pressure? Amp meters? Amp charging? I think that's oil pressure. No, that's gas gauge. There is no oil pressure. What's that? Temperature gauge? Okay, choke. I can smell it's pretty gassy. Let's turn that down. Okay, it's running. Oh, I can get out of here. It's purring. That's pretty good. Very exhausting. Not a lot coming out the pipe. Probably all coming out the leak. Sounds like it's coming out right down here. Is that you? Huge exhaust leak down there. Okay, we know she runs. It's gonna stink me out of the shop, I'll tell you that. Okay, contactor off, I think. That's how that works. Okay, contactor off. Okay, well, we got something. Something better than before. I'm taking this off because I don't want anything to burn down. That is kind of janky. We got work to do. We got to get the wheels back on it. We got to get the brakes fixed, but we got something. You guys were along for the ride for the first start in a long time. It started actually pretty easily once we got fuel to it. We have a lot of work to do in this car, so stay tuned for upcoming video updates. Thanks for watching. We'll catch you on the next video.